Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, we're just going to get straight into it. We all know why we are here. You clicked on this video for one of two reasons. One, you have not seen Madame Web, and you, just like the rest of the world who hasn't seen Madame Web, is very curious as to, is this movie as bad as everyone is saying, or are people just being complete assholes and just trolling on this movie because it's fun to troll on bad movies and shit on them without even seeing them? So that's the group one. Group two. You're here because you saw Madame Web with your own eyes, and like me, you walked out of that theater trying to ask yourself, is this truly one of the worst cinematic experiences I've ever sat through? And look, my answer to both of those questions is yes, and it's worse. It is so much worse. And honestly, guys, look, before I even get into the bashing, trashing, and complete just thrashing that I'm going to do of this film, I need people to understand that it is not easy to make a movie. I understand that. It's very hard to make a film. It takes hard work, dedication, just courage, guts, vulnerability, things that a lot of people in their lives can't really build themselves up to do. It's so hard to make a movie, especially a good one. It's so hard to make a good movie and a very well-received one because everybody has an opinion nowadays. Everybody thinks they're a critic, and it's just, yes, me included, right? Because I'm a YouTube movie critic. But look, everybody just has an opinion on movies, and everybody has a love for film that they wish to share exponentially with the world. And in this day and age, I feel like it's just so much harder to make a movie because everybody has an opinion. And even if, like I said, even if people haven't seen your movie and it's just fun to shit on it, you'll have trolls that'll do that on the internet. It's not easy to make a movie. But never in my life have I ever seen a movie just blatantly not even remotely try to be good. Also, I've just never seen a studio just not even try to learn from their mistakes. Like you would think that this studio making Morbius, which is the bottom of the barrel type of comic book movie, you would think that a studio that made a movie like that would understand, all right, we've already gone as low as we could possibly go. Let's at least remotely try to get back in the Venom status where people can at least walk out and say, there were some things fun about that film. Now me, I don't like the Venom movies whatsoever. I don't like Morbius at all. But some people find, well, honestly, Venom, people find some entertaining qualities about that movie. I think Morbius, people just like to troll and say it's so bad it's good. It's one of those movies. Okay, that's not one of those movies for me. Morbius is just really bad. But at least in those films, there was one thing in each of those movies that I could point out and say, all right, that was pretty entertaining. I enjoyed that. For Venom, it was when Michelle Williams gets taken over by the Venom symbiote. I know that has nothing to do with Tom Hardy and Venom, which is the most entertaining part for a lot of people in that movie. But for me, it was Michelle Williams and Venom. For Venom, Let There Be Carnage, it was probably when Venom took over the concessions lady and he was talking to Michelle Williams. I mean, look, Tom Hardy and Venom's dynamic is great, but it just kind of gets old for me after a while. Morbius, the only remotely entertaining thing about that movie was Matt Smith's dance. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. But I can honestly sit here and tell you guys, man, there's not a single thing I liked about this movie. There is not one. And I promise you I tried. Now look, the trailers for this movie literally already promised us this was going to be a complete garbage fest. This was going to be complete crap because the Madame Web trailer is one of the worst trailers I've ever seen in my life. They already promised us this movie was going to be complete shit. But I didn't want to necessarily just sit there and think that this movie was going to be as bad as Morbius or worse the entire time. So I went in truly hoping there was something I could walk away with and at least say, all right, I enjoyed that. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. And I may be alone in that opinion, but there's nothing even remotely salvageable about this crappy ass movie, man. This movie fucking sucks. And while I'm not just going to make a bunch of blanketed statements, I am going to get into some details. I do have spoiler related spoiler related thoughts towards the end of this review, but as far as I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to talk about my overall feelings about just how frustratingly shit this movie is. I mean, where to even begin? I'll start with the dialogue because, look, this movie is poorly written. And honestly, at this point, I can truly say that I think Sony is literally doing this on purpose. I think they're making movies like this on purpose at this point because they literally went out their way to not only hire the writers who made Venom, but they made other atrocious films such as The Last Witch Hunter, was it Gods of Egypt? They just have a very poor track record of written movies. And the dialogue in this movie is so bad. It is really, really hard to just sit through. I mean, oh my God. And honestly, like, I start with the writing because honestly, a lot of people, including myself, are going to say like the acting was pretty just cringe and pretty bad in this film. I truly think while this is a very talented cast, the way that these lines were delivered was so poor and just full of no emotion whatsoever. This movie, I literally just felt like a neutral hollowness watching this. I just felt like a complete shell of a man watching this movie, just feeling no emotion whatsoever. I felt no joy. I felt no hope. I didn't even get like mad at this movie, man. I was just literally sitting there emotionless. My humanity was completely turned off because this movie didn't make me feel a damn thing but just complete nothingness. Just a complete void of nothingness, man. I mean, it's like the way these lines were delivered in this movie. And it's honestly, it's not only Dakota Johnson, but Dakota Johnson is a main part of the way that these lines are being delivered. And like I said, this cast is talented. They are. I think they were truly given some of the most shit material they could have worked with in their careers. I don't think it'll really get much worse for them. I don't think it can get much worse for them than this movie here for a lot of these people in their careers. I mean, look, while Dakota Johnson, like I said, Dakota Johnson's semi-talented, but for me, a trend that I'm really starting to see with Dakota Johnson films, if she is the lead in the movie, which 50 Shades, How to Be Single, Madam Web here, I haven't seen like Peanut Butter Falcon or Suspiria or whatever that movie is. I haven't seen those, but she's not even the lead in Peanut Butter Falcon. But as far as any movie that has Dakota Johnson as their lead, she just has no emotion. She just delivers everything so plain, so bland. It's like she's literally relying on her looks to get her through these films. And honestly, for the 50 Shades movies, that's really what those were. Those were just two insanely attractive people dealing with shit writing, shit plot, just shit everything. And they were just so good looking, they were just relying on their good looks to get them through the film. How to Be Single is one of the most boring romantic comedies I've ever seen, and it's really, dude, it's just, I don't know what it is about Dakota Johnson being the lead in a film, but we have really got to just stop putting her as a lead. She's better as a side character. I mean, look, Bad Times at El Royale, she's great in that movie. Now, there are like 7 to 10 other things better than Dakota Johnson in Bad Times at El Royale, including the cinematography, but she is still good in that movie, and that is a movie that made me realize, alright, this chick actually has some talent to work with. She's just getting a lot of crappy ends of the stick here. And honestly, Sydney Sweeney's about to fall into the same category, because I'm not necessarily sure what she is doing after Euphoria, but look, Anyone But You did not work whatsoever. I wish anyone but her would have been casted in that role because she's just not necessarily funny. Here in this movie, in Madam Web, she's trying. I can say that about Sydney Sweeney. She's definitely trying, but she just does not have enough moxie and enough star power to truly backpack how crappy this movie is. And she's just not... I'm not going to say she's not talented enough because she has talent. Like I said, she just doesn't have enough moxie to truly overcome the shit material they've been given. The writing in this movie is so atrocious. There are so many lines of bad dialogue you cringe at. There are so many moments in this movie that make you go just like, what Who's even making that? Why are we putting that in here? And I'm not even talking about the fake Easter eggs they try to throw in here. It's just a lot of just poorly written material just throughout this entire thing. Look, Isabel Mercad, I hope I'm saying her name right. She was probably the best part of the movie, but for me, I felt like she understood the assignment, that she knew that this material was absolute garbage. This movie was probably not going to be good whatsoever, and she has Hawkgirl. She's playing Hawkgirl in Superman Legacy, so she already knows she has future projects to look forward to, so she's really just here to collect a check and go on about her way. She was the best part of the movie for me. The other girl, whose name her name is Celeste O'Connor, I want to see her in something else. I want to see her in something else because she showed potential in this movie as well. They are just given really, really bad material to work with, and like I said, it's just the way that these lines were delivered. It's like throughout the entire movie, these girls are just being told, please deliver this in the most bland, non-emotional way possible, and we'll just stick with that take. Please don't try to give any emotion, give any oomph to any of your characters. Let's just be as boring and as bland as humanly possible, and we'll make the Madame Web movie. That's why I truly think Sony is just doing this on purpose. There's no way. You legitimately have to try to make a movie as bad as this. You have to be trying to make a movie as bad as this. And the reason that wholeheartedly convinced me that they were literally trying to make this movie as bad as they were was the villain. The guy named Ezekiel, who's played by Tahar Rahim. First of all, this dude has a voiceover. The guy's character is voiced over, which was throwing me off the entire movie. I didn't realize that until the end, until I heard somebody else say it. This guy's voice did not match up to what he was doing in the movie whatsoever, and it sounded so off. And then not only that, he's just one of the worst villains I've ever seen in movie history. Let's just throw comic book hit movie history out of the window for a second. Let's just talk about film history. This movie is a spit in the face to film fans, Spider-Man fans, superhero fans. I mean, this movie is just a spit in the face to movie lovers in general. Even people who love bad movies. This is a spit in your face too, because this villain, this guy is just so he's just so stupid. He is just so frustratingly bad in this movie, man. I mean, it's just, you truly don't give a fuck about anything going on in this movie whatsoever. I mean, it's just a complete and utter clusterfuck. And honestly, the reason that this movie frustrates me so much is because, like I said, Morbius set the bar so low. It's like you legitimately have to be trying to make a movie as bad as Morbius, if not worse, to go lower than that bar there. You have the blueprint for one of the worst superhero movies ever made, and somehow, some way, you decided to go lower than that bar. And honestly, look, there's going to be people on Twitter. I've already started to see it. Some people are like, okay, what can somebody name me the bad things about Madame Web? And people will just say the writing is bad, and they'll respond with, okay, that's a blanketed statement. Of course, you have nothing. You're not giving pivotal examples about what you disliked about the movie. Honestly, when it comes to the writing of this film, all you have to do is listen. All you have to do is listen to the dialogue being given. All you have to do is listen to what they're saying in the movie, which is really hard because it's being delivered in complete, just vanilla, bland fucking cardboard. It's just being delivered so poorly. But all you have to do is listen, and you'll understand how bad this writing is. Just listen to what they're saying. Listen to the way it's being delivered. The writing is just too bad. It's just too atrocious to get over. It's a very poorly written movie. I cannot reiterate that enough. The action sequences. I'll put action in fucking quotations, because look, these action sequences, there are Spider-Man movies out there, like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, while it is not a good movie whatsoever, it does have redeemable shots, redeemable Spidey scenes. It has some decent action sequences in them. Even the worst Spider-Man movie you can think of has some cool Spidey shit in it. This has nothing. I don't understand. I'm fully convinced these people don't even care about Spider-Man whatsoever, because there's no way you have people with spider powers in this movie and they don't it's just not cool. There's nothing cool about your characters whatsoever. Your costumes are stupid. Their powers are stupid. The main villain ain't wearing shoes the entire movie, which I get it if you're about to do a costume change, whatever. You were the first person with Spider-Man or Spidey powers, so you don't necessarily want shoes on your feet so you can make a quick costume change, whatever. This dude's literally, I don't think this dude ever had shoes on in the entire movie, except maybe the beginning. It's just, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, Sony is literally trying to tarnish the Spider-Man name, which isn't, you're not, I just need them to know, you're not being successful in tarnishing the Spider-Man name, because Spider-Man doesn't belong to you solely. It belongs to the MCU, which maybe that's your gripe. Maybe you guys are upset because they took Andrew Garfield, in the Spider-Man movies, and they put him in No Way Home, and he actually got the respect that he deserved for portraying Spider-Man, because he actually did a damn good job. Y'all just made shit movies surrounding him, except the first one. I enjoy the Amazing Spider-Man 1, but the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was just too bad. It was just so bad. And maybe Sony's just holding a grudge against the MCU and just trying to shit on Spider-Man name and Spider-Man's name and however they can by taking all these side characters and making these movies that we truly don't give a fuck about. But look, I really would just appreciate it if they just stopped. I'd really appreciate it if they just stop making these movies, because you're clearly not learning from your mistakes. You are, honestly, I feel so bad for everyone who was a part of this movie, including the director. I don't necessarily feel bad for the writers, because they have a bad enough track record to where the people who picked them to make this movie, y'all should have known this is how that was going to go. But I just feel so bad for everybody in this movie, because it's like, to truly just not care about anything whatsoever in this movie. Like, you didn't care, like, y'all didn't care to make a good, like, even somewhat decent movie and a mid movie. You didn't care about anybody during the process of this film, including your actors and actresses, to make them do the things that they do in this movie, which is really just deliver shitty dialogue and honestly just kind of keep pushing over the fact that the plot is not necessarily all over the place, but it's just like, you don't care. You don't care whatsoever about Madam Web. You don't care about her story. You don't have empathy for any of these characters whatsoever. There was no sense of caring about anything in this movie at all. And look, here's where I get into my minor spoiler alert, it's minor spoiler alert, but look, for the people that watch the trailer, please let me know in the comments below. How much did you think Sydney Sweeney, Isabel Merced, I think her name is Merced, and Celeste O'Connor, the three girls in the movie, the three Spider-Women, how often did you think they were going to be in their costumes? Just let me know in the comments below, because here's where I get into spoiler territory. These chicks, they never get their fucking powers. These chicks don't even get their powers. Like, the only time they are suited up in the movie is when they're having visions. When Ezekiel's having his visions of the girls killing him or doing bad things to him, whatever, and then Dakota Johnson's having visions of them in the same costumes doing their heroic shit. That's the only time they're in their costumes whatsoever. And for the people out there who try to justify that this is the Madam Web movie, not the Spider-Woman movie, stop it. I need you to cut that. I need you to stop that right now, because you know just as well as I do, that trailer promised us that these chicks were going to be in their costumes more than 30 seconds. At least they would, at least even if they weren't in their costumes, you would think they would get their powers. They don't even get their powers in this movie. It's truly a waste of time. It's truly a waste of everyone's time. I mean, the marketing is just, it's phoned in. The marketing for this movie, honestly, the marketing for this movie made no sense either, because Dakota Johnson is promoting 50 Shades.
You're gonna love it. In fact, I think you're gonna see it twice.
She's promoting 50 Shades of Madam Web, because everything was just sexualized. I don't know what movie she was promoting. I don't think Dakota Johnson truly knew what she was getting herself into. I don't think she's truly that's the other thing. If these people are not fans of the original source material, please don't cast them to portray characters that people actually adore. Like Madam Web in the 1998 Spider-Man show, which is the only reason I know her. She's a really cool character. And although, yes, she is an old woman, I didn't necessarily need Helen Mirren or anybody in this movie because I'm pretty sure that just would have... I mean, Helen Mirren is a great actress. I don't know if that would have made it worse, but I don't think Helen Mirren would have ever signed on to do anything this shitty. While it didn't necessarily need to be an old lady, it's just... Dakota Johnson is just not delivering any sort of emotion or just... It's not even like they're having fun. They're not even having fun on this set with this movie, man. It's honestly, it's hard too. It's hard to have fun because it feels like they're just being forced to do a bunch of dumb shit they know nobody's going to like, and that's really what this entire thing is, man. This movie is just a complete waste of time. I'm honestly, look, this is the first time in my life I truly contemplated walking out of a theater. I'm not the biggest advocate of walking out of a theater because, like I said, even with the bad movies, it's an opportunity for me to experience a world that I could have never thought of. Even if the movie is bad, I still appreciate a film for what it is, even if I don't like it. But maybe like an hour into this movie, I told myself I could have walked out, and honestly, I could have walked out because I predicted the rest of the movie right there. The movie's predictable as hell. You know exactly where it's going. It doesn't do anything special. It doesn't do anything out of this world. It doesn't try to do anything to give you some sort of goosebumps or some sort of feeling whatsoever of enjoyment. This movie is predictable as fuck. Like, an hour into this movie, I knew exactly where before that, truly. But an hour into this movie, I was truly contemplating walking out. I knew exactly how it was going to end, and it ended exactly how I thought it was. And it's just... It's truly just a disappointment at this point. I mean, look, you're probably going to stumble upon thousands of videos saying how bad this movie is. But if there are people out there saying this movie is good, I don't like to bash other people's opinions, but I promise you, they're just trying to be different. They're just trying to be different. They're just trying to be cool. And honestly, if you did enjoy this movie, I'm so sorry. I don't know what you liked about the movie. Please let me know in the comments what you did like, and I'm not going to bash you whatsoever. Everybody has the right to their opinion. But as far as I'm concerned, this entire thing sucked. This entire movie's a mess. It's complete shit. And for all those reasons and so many more, guys, I'm going to give Madame Web a 0.25 out of 5 stars. All right, guys, so Madame Web, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Look, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff and so much more, guys. Look, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.